I think of where was this team at this time last year and where it ended up. You know what I mean? Like early on, it was like they played what Washington, I believe, in the out of conference. You just didn't know. I think pretty after what 2 weeks, we all knew like Washington's not what we thought it would be, what that team would be. And I believe was Wisconsin their conference opener. I can't remember if that's who they opened with last year. I think it was. I think that was the
Yeah,
conference
I think
opener.
so.
But I just think of where this team was last year versus where it ended, and there's just so much football left to play that the goal, and I said it all throughout last season, is just to stack the wins. That's all you need to worry about is come out, play your best game you can against Maryland, and then next week play the best game you can against Iowa, and just so on and so forth. And in Michigan, to me, Michigan has the talent to be undefeated going into Ohio State. And when it comes to rivalry games, all bets are off. You just never really know. But I just think it's so early, and the teams that they've played, it's hard to grasp anything from that. Right? Did you learn anything for sure about this team? And we
Here,
talked about it before, the season. What game is it that we will know something, and we thought it would be Iowa, and now slowly it seems like that game is getting pushed further and further down the line.
yeah, I mean, here's my take on that. Yes, is Michigan's non-conference schedule worse than just about anybody's in the country? 100%. There's no doubt that we're admitting that. But I don't know what any team is like 3 games into the year.
True.
Like
Hmm.
that's come on, man.
I
I
know
mean,
Notre Dame was overrated. I know that much. I mean,
like, but still, I think that there are teams that probably have played like crap that will end up okay. And then there are teams that have played well, maybe a Texas, that end up like crap too. Like I just don't know. I don't know how good Washington is. So that means I don't know how good Michigan State is. So that's where I'm like, everyone that's like, oh, we don't know about Michigan. We don't know shit about anybody. We're in week 4.
we know
Like
more. We
it's
know
been a
substantially
but you know what?
more about some teams.
But you know what?
Washington
It's been
proved
a wacky.
something.
Yeah, they proved that MSU's
They
defense
proved a
secondary still
lot.
sucks.
They
But
proved a lot.
proved that their secondary is still broken and they need to fix it.
They beat them up on the line of scrimmage too. They beat them in every possible
I
way.
mean,
But I
MSU
guess
couldn't run the football.
Exactly.
question there. So my question there is like, did they beat them up on the line because their line is good, or because
Sure.
MSU's defense is bad? That's where I think like there's still so many questions.
Absolutely.
Is Michael Penix like a stud, or I know he's solid, but is he like an elite quarterback now, or is MSU's secondary still
But
broken?
when
We got
Washington
a lot
does
to
that,
figure out.
when Washington does that to Michigan State, we know that Michigan State, we don't know that they're the top 10 team that they were last year. They probably aren't. But we know that they're a top 30 or 40 team in the country.
For sure.
And so
Yeah.
Washington didn't handle UConn, Hawaii, Colorado State. They handled Michigan State.
Yeah. But you know what, guys, you really think about it, it's been kind of a wacky start to the season. I mean, you see Appalachian State go down and they lose a shootout to North Carolina. And what was it, triple overtime, 63-61. Then they go down to Texas A&M. They shock A&M, what was it, 17-14, right? You see Marshall go to Notre Dame, and win 26-21, turn around the very next week, lose a overtime game to Bowling Green. It's been a very wacky college football season. And Oregon has looked good the last couple of weeks compared to how they looked against Georgia. Granted, Georgia may do that to a lot of teams, really good teams, but still, it's like Justin said, it's a lot kind of going on, and teams are kind of still rounding into form. I mean, I think Florida is a different team every week. You really don't know what they are. So, there is a point to that where we're still trying to figure out who's good and who's average, who has potential to ascend, right? Because one thing about the Michigan last year was that they were constantly, for one, they started unranked. And they were constantly on ascension, right? Getting better and better throughout the year. You see certain guys surface and become studs. I mean, I don't think anyone knew Blake Corum was going to pop quite the way he did going into last season. You saw Dobbs and Nevers making an impact as a true freshman. You know, Ronnie Bell gets hurt the first game of the year. Cornelius Johnson stepping up, right? You know, you saw things throughout the year that you didn't necessarily know was going to happen. So, you know, that's the part that I think Justin's kind of alluding to, is that, you know, things are still kind of shaking itself out and playing its way out.
Really, I'm just annoyed that people won't shut up about our non-conference schedule. Listen, I get it, but it doesn't need to be the main topic of discussion in week 4. Let's get through Maryland here.
My thing is if you win, it doesn't matter. If you lose, now everything comes into play, right? The revisionist history and you know, hindsight's 2020. People are, you know, well, that's essentially what's going to happen. So I think Michigan will be fine. You roll in Ohio State undefeated, you should, and just let the best man win at that point. So I think that's what it's going to
take care of your business Saturday. You know, try to keep guys as healthy as possible. You know, we've seen enough injuries so far. You know, and it's to some key players. You know, Eric Gall's banged up now. Donovan Edwards knows working through something. I don't know if they got Barnhart back or not. But you know, it definitely, you know, that's also something to keep in mind too. You know, you want to keep guys as healthy as possible. You know.